Hope so. There's food at least.
There will be dancing and singing. No, just kidding. But it is not boring because it's not just the AGM. There's our Italian lunch fundraiser event with it. So if you're not a member, there's always time to become one before. And even if you don't want to become a member before the AGM because you want to see what we are about, you're always welcome to come and take a look at the AGM and say, yeah, I want to be a member, or no, it's not for me. Absolutely up to each one of you, okay? But being a member gives you the right to vote if there's voting. We will have an election. We don't always have lots of candidates and need votes, but we don't know, it could happen. So it gives you also the ability to borrow books from our library and a few other things. So, you know, the Spiritist Center is all of us. So being a member doesn't mean you have to volunteer, it means you can, but not that you have to, all right? But I don't know, I think it helps us feel like part of a community, like the sense of belonging, I think, is important for all of us. So everybody's welcome to become one. We have QR codes on the wall here, outside as well. I think even in the bathroom we have QR codes to become members. It's a super quick online form. And yeah, only thing is very important to notice, it is not going to be here. It's going to be at St. Andrews Heights Community Center. It's close to University, McMahon Stadium, like in that area. There's lots of room for parking, so it's a big space. It's an older community center, but it's close to our hearts because we've done so many things there, and we'll do a few more this year. But it's going to be there, so we're going to have our talk. And then after the talk, so the talk 11 to 12, just like every Sunday. Then we have our Italian lunch starting at 12:30, so we have 30 minutes to set up everything. And the AGM starts after we start eating, because personally I can't listen if I'm hungry.
Or hangry.
Yes, hangry. Hangry is even worse than hungry. So, plus we also know that we catch people by the stomach, right? So first we start eating, and when everybody's happy, we start the AGM. And if anybody has any questions, you can ask Carol, me, Luis who's on the computer, Juliana, we're all part of the board. You can ask any questions after the meeting. We always stay around for a little bit, okay? All right. We also start our Sundays. Is there any other announcement?
No? Good.
Okay. We also start. We start every Sunday with we start with a text, usually from Emmanuel, just to calm down. Sometimes it's related to the talk, sometimes it's not. Today it is. So I'll start with the text because today's theme is what is compassion. And I'll start with the text from Emmanuel from the book Words of Eternal Life, Palavras de Vida Eterna. It's text number 69 called In the Light of Compassion. So we read the text, we do our initial prayer, we do the talk. There's space for everybody to participate if you want to, you don't have to. Then we do a final prayer and we go for the passes here behind me. Passes are not mandatory. It's voluntary. You can take part if you want to, but you don't have to. Feel free to do whatever suits you. In the light of compassion. And Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, "Blessed be the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." This is in Matthew 5:7, when Jesus talks about all the blessings, or in Portuguese, well, in English it's the Beatitudes, and in Portuguese is
Bem-aventurança.
Bem-aventuranças. Thank you. Holy. Yeah, in English it's the Beatitudes. Let the light of compassion illuminate your path so that darkness does not engulf you. Do you endure the presence of those who crush your hopes? Show compassion towards them. Do you hear the mockery of those who belittle you? Show compassion towards them. Do you suffer from the moral attacks of those who disturb your peace? Show compassion to them. Do you endure the barbs, as farpas? Do you endure the barbs of those who persecute you? Show compassion towards them. Cruelty, sarcasm, madness, and vileness are wounds that time can heal. Be thankful that you can withstand their harassment without resorting to their ways. These evils stem from ignorance, much like blindness comes from darkness. You cannot cure the imbalance of a madman by striking him, nor can you expel the criminality of an evildoer by cutting off their limbs. In the face of others' maladjustments, always offer sympathy and help. When faced with your neighbor's folly, show sympathy and do your best. We are all students in the school of life, susceptible to moral errors and failures. Therefore, extend mercy to others, and you will find mercy from others in return. So let's close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath in and out. One more deep breath in and out. One last time, as much as you can in and out. Now, with our hearts and minds here, present, we thank our Father. We thank our Master Jesus. And we thank the mentors of our house, of our home, FSS. We want to thank you for all the support that we receive from a large group of spirits who were, are, and will be involved in our reincarnation, who support us even when we don't know, who help us from behind the scenes. We thank you. We thank you for guiding us here today. We thank you for trying to always guide us down the right path. And Father, we ask that we may open our eyes and may open our ears to follow the good advice, to follow down the good path. May we find the strength and the will to become better. May we align our will with God's will. May we feel like we belong in a universe, like we deserve to be loved. And today, here together, may we also learn a little bit more from Jesus' words and teachings. May we understand a bit better all the examples he gave us. So be it. All right. Okay. So today we're going to talk about compassion. And of course, there's no better way of starting than with the star of the show. And Jesus, when he came out, saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion for them because they were like sheep not having a shepherd. So he began to teach them many things. This is in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verse 34. What is Mark talking about? What situation is he referring to in the Gospel?
Sermon on the Mount.
Yes, my favorite. When it's not from Matthew, it's from someone else. Luke, Mark, but always the Sermon on the Mount. So, and in the Bible, if you go online and if you do a search, you will see that there are a lot of passages of the Gospel where it's mentioned that Jesus was moved with compassion, moved with intimate compassion, like coming from inside, moved with deep compassion. And Jesus felt compassion for the world. So compassion is mentioned so many times, not just in the Gospel, not just in the New Testament, but in the Old Testament as well, by the way, in the Psalms a lot. But then, what is compassion? What can compassion do for us? Is compassion just about others? Because Jesus felt compassion for them. So is compassion just about others? Or is it about us as well? Okay, we'll have a whole lot more questions. So this is the fifth. It's the fourth chakra, but it's the fifth talk in the series, where I'm bringing information about our chakras, which a lot of people think has nothing to do with Spiritism, but yes, it does. So this is why I'm talking about it, or I wouldn't be. So the reason why we're talking about chakras is because they are present in Spiritism, just with a different name. In the books of André Luiz, there are several mentions, and I have one here to illustrate. There are several mentions. And why do I care? Why am I talking about chakras? Why do I care? Well, what inspired this series is because I was listening to a course where the speaker started talking about, and it's like this speaker, Alírio de Cerqueira Filho, who wrote this book, which is where this is based on. And he started talking about, all of a sudden, he was talking about reincarnation, and it's the story of a person who committed suicide, and he's talking about all the difficulties and how that reflected on the spirit of the person. And he's like, well, because in the center of force, the chakra, and I'm like, what? And he's like, and the virtue that balances this, I'm like, okay. How does it connect? I couldn't understand how it connected. So I think I listened to that course like 3 times until I finally understood, and I was like, I think this is valuable information for us because it does make a difference. Because our chakras are force fields, centers of force, and each one is connected to an organ, but also to a virtue. And that's where it becomes really important to me, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you. So first, let's take a general look, because not everybody is familiar. So we have 7 main chakras, and we always start from the bottom. So the root, there. So the root chakra, the sacral, or in Portuguese, sacro, solar or solar plexus chakra, heart chakra, throat chakra, brow chakra, and crown chakra. So we have already talked about root, sacral, and solar or solar plexus. Today we're going to talk about the heart chakra. The first 3 are mostly connected to physiology. The fourth is the link, and the top three are spiritual. Okay? So, and chakra in Sanskrit means circle. So, like in that picture, our chakras are like spirals, and they can contract and expand, like a coil, uma mola, right? Depending on how much energy they receive. So they will be in that movement. And they can be balanced or imbalanced. And that's where those virtues will come in. So, some people have seen this several times. But where are the chakras located? Like, even though we can see that they like relate to certain parts of the body and actually certain organs as well, are they located in the physical body? Exactly. They are located in the perispirit. Okay? So they are not in our physical body, but they are in our perispirit. There are some, because the chakras are circles in Sanskrit, and then there's another word in Sanskrit called nadis, which is the same as channel or filament. So think about our veins for blood. The nadis are, we have 7 main chakras, but the nadis are smaller chakras that are connected to the main chakras through the filaments. Those filaments are for energy. So think veins for blood, and those filaments for energy. For our spiritual body. The blood for our physical body, and those filaments of energy for our spiritual body. Make sense? Yeah? That's where traditional Chinese medicine comes in. Acupuncture, right? They stimulate those nadis. They stimulate those points on our skin, and the little energy channels will take it to the 7 main chakras. There are some other lines that say 13 main chakras, but we'll stick to the 7 because that's what most people know. So Indian traditional medicine, Chinese traditional medicine, all of them work based on these points of energy in the body. Okay? And then, just to prove that I'm not lying, here is a passage from the book Between Heaven and Earth, where it's exactly that case I was talking about of a suicide. And André Luiz is asking his mentor, but like, why? Why is this happening? Because that person, he had tried to commit suicide drinking poison. And when he wasn't able to accomplish what he set, he ended up drowning himself. So his throat ended up very affected for both the poisoning and the drowning. And then he was having in the spiritual world some effects in his spiritual body in the area of the throat. And André Luiz was confused. As a doctor, he was very confused. He was like, but like, wow, why does that happen? And then the mentor explained. The mentor said, when by acts contrary to the divine law, so every time we try to break the divine laws, our mind harms the harmony of any one of our soul's force centers. That's how André Luiz calls chakras, force centers. It is naturally enslaved to the effects of the unbalancing action. So what he means here is, if I did something that harmed my throat, the effects will be there. If I did something that harmed my head, the effects will be there, and so on. Thus is assim, portanto, making the toil is work, of readjustment necessary. So if the problem was in the throat, the work that needs to be done will be related to the throat to heal the wound, to heal the damage we made. Make sense? All right. Okay. So, because the Spiritist doctrine explains or clarifies, consoling and consoles clarifying, this is not just knowledge, right? There is something that we can do about this. This is not passive knowledge. This is actually very active, or will become. So here at FSS, we talk a lot about virtues, about how to become better, about how to improve ourselves, how to develop virtues, and all that. So, like I already spoiled, all of those points are connected to virtues. And here is a little visual to help us understand. So we have all the chakras, we have the name of the chakra, and on the 4th column, we have the function of each one. So the first chakra from the bottom, the root chakra, function is safety or security, we talked about it. Second chakra, pleasure. Third chakra, power. We talked about it in January. Now, today we're going to talk about the 4th chakra. And remember I said the 4th is the link. It's the connection between the physical and the spiritual. So the function of the 4th chakra is love. But remember I said that it can be imbalanced. Like the contraction and expansion can be completely imbalanced. So the imbalance can be, there is balance right in the middle. The imbalance can be not enough or too much. So in the heart chakra, hypoactivity or not enough, less than we need, will lead us to indifference in terms of feelings. And too much of it will lead to attachment, which some people confuse with love. Attachment is not love. Attachment is love that became sick. And we'll see. So far so good?
Yeah.
Okay. All the other 3 are in our YouTube channel. You can look them up and if you're curious to see. But like I said, today we're gonna talk about the 4th or the heart. So when we talk about when we talk about the heart, the egoic feeling that we have when it's not balanced is selfishness, indifference, or cruelty. So what virtue do we need? What essential feeling and virtue is the same thing. What essential feeling or virtue do we need to balance that chakra? Compassion. So far so good? Good? Okay.
You're so
Okay.
aligned. Look at me, I look at you.
Yeah, because I'm here talking about traditional Indian medicine. I need to make sure I'm not gonna put my foot in my mouth.
You said Nari, and I was like, oh my god, she knows stuff. I mean, always know stuff.
Studying, you end up learning, whether you want it or not.
Let's go on India trip.
I would love that. We'll talk about it later. Okay, so initial reflections. I always like to ask questions that both we can think about for ourselves and also that we can answer as we go along. So, first question. How do I understand compassion? Does anybody want to, you don't have to speak up, but if anybody wants to speak up, how do you understand compassion? What is compassion for you?
If I may say, when I think of compassion, I mean, I don't quite like to define it, but I associate it with forgiveness, empathy, love, understanding, maybe something else, I don't know, maybe someone can help me.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to chime in.
Understand what the other person is going through.
Empathy?
Everybody's super in sync. Okay. Next question. What is compassion the essential feeling that balances the fourth chakra and not love itself. Because love is a virtue. Like it's the greatest, the biggest, the highest law. Law of love, justice, and charity. Why isn't love itself the essential feeling that will balance that chakra? This one you don't need to answer. We are going to answer this one.
Because when you have compassion, you also have, like, you should have compassion for yourself as well as the others, so it's balance.
Okay, excellent point. First of all, everything starts in the self. I can't give what I don't have. So everything starts with us, right? In order to extend to someone else, I need to have it. Close, very close. Very close. Is it possible to develop compassion, or do people just are born compassionate? If you are compassionate, you are. If you aren't compassionate, maybe next, yeah, maybe next life. Like we say in Brazil, we like to say, I'll get on the line for compassion next time.
Yeah.
Before I reincarnate, right? There's like all the little, there's a table with the virtues and you get in line, and you're like, okay, I'll have more of this time.
You can develop, yeah.
Well, is compassion a virtue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every virtue can be developed. Well, not can be, needs to be, because we are created simple and unaware. Question 115. Are some spirits created good and others evil? No, we are all created the same, simple and unaware, and we learn as we progress. We learn as we go along. So nobody is gonna get in line for compassion or any other virtue. We have to do it ourselves. It would be awesome if somebody gave it to us, but virtues are not gifts. They are accomplishments of our own, right?
But isn't it like math? Like, I may have a virtue, but sometimes I forget that I was better last time, this time why am I doing this? And I have to practice it all the time.
Yeah, because depending on the challenges you face, it's not that you forget the virtue. If you think it's not on and off, it's 0 to 100, right? So I might be at 10 for patience and at 25 for compassion, for example, just as an example. So it's not on off. I have, I don't have. It's how much of it do I have? Because we can always expand. We can always develop more, right? Like progress is infinite. We never, ever stop progressing. If so, how do I start? Okay, great. We know it's possible. How? Da, da, da. Stay tuned. But somebody already gave the spoiler. Okay, so going back to the chakra. So the fourth chakra, the chakra of the heart, the function of that chakra is love. And it's the connection between physical chakras and spiritual chakras. So when it's under, when we are not receiving enough energy, it causes indifference. When it's too much, it causes attachment. So this is just a summary of those tables that we saw. The essential feelings responsible for its balance, and now anybody who was in any of the previous talks will see that we are just adding all of them together. So the first one was humility and meekness. The second one, gratitude. The third one, acceptance. Now the heart, compassion. Or holocentrism. What is holocentrism? And it's in italics because there's holocenter in English, but they haven't made up holocentrism, so I made it up myself.
I love it.
Right? Languages are alive.
Creativity.
Well, so center, centrism, center. But what is holo? Not halo, holo.
Wholesome.
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Yes. It's the whole, the complete, the all. So there's egocentrism, when I'm centered in my ego, and there's holocentrism, when I'm centered in the all, not just myself, but everything and everybody around me. That's when I understand that, as this is a Brazilian expression, I'm not the belly button of the universe. Right? We say in Portuguese, não sou o umbigo do universo. The universe does not work, for me, on my behalf, So and this is why compassion is the virtue that will balance. Because it starts with us, but it's centered in the whole. It's focused in the whole. And the egoic feelings are also adding up. So it started with pride and rebellion for the first chakra, for the second, gratitude and gratefulness, for the third one, refuse to accept or denial instead of the virtue of acceptance, and for the fourth one, selfishness, indifference, and cruelty are the egoic feelings that are responsible for this imbalance. Well, that are caused when we have an imbalance in that chakra. Okay, so when the chakra of the heart is not receiving enough energy, the result will be indifference, cruelty, and selfishness. And we're going to talk about indifference and cruelty, but they are basically kind of two sides of a coin. It's like a pendulum, and we go from one to the other depending on the situation. I'll give an example when we get to that slide. So the function of the chakra, of course, is love. Always starting with self-love. And this self-love is not what we see in social media, right? It's not the self-love that says, only care about yourself because nobody else cares about you. Buy, be happy, be free, do what you want, make yourself happy at all costs. The problem is not that make yourself happy, the problem is at all costs, right? So this is self-love as portrayed by Jesus, not the self-love that the world sells to us nowadays. Unconditional love. We had a talk about unconditional love. What is unconditional love?
When you love someone regardless of their flaws.
Or without expecting anything in exchange.
Yeah.
It's the simplest thing in the world. I don't know how I was able to talk about it for a whole hour, because basically it is not putting any conditions to love. It's not I love you if you love me back. It's I love you. It's not I love you if you're nice to me. It's I love you. It's not I love you if you pay back what I'm doing to you. It's I love you. It's not imposing any conditions for that love. So far so good? Yeah, everybody awake? Okay. So when the chakra is balanced, so the balance comes from the sentiments of self-love and compassion. So again, I start with myself. I love myself. I have inner peace, Jesus' peace, not the world's peace. I have the peace of being aware that I'm making efforts, that I'm doing my best to be better today than I was yesterday, without crazy demands. Just knowing that I'm making the effort. Like simple, light. It's not supposed to be heavy. It's not, I have to. We don't have to anything. We are invited. We can accept the invitation or not. And some days we do and some days we don't. And it's normal in our phase of evolution. So these sentiments channel the energies from the creator of life received through the crown chakra, the chakra responsible for transcendence. Remember that picture that was there with the spirals? I don't know if everybody noticed, but the crown chakra is not on the sides like the others. It's above. So the energies, and here creator of life is a beautiful way of saying God. So the energies we receive from God and all his emissaries and spiritual guides, everybody that is donating energy to us, even the environment, nature, all of that, all the energy comes from the crown chakra. The heart is responsible for distributing these energies through the entire body. This is why it's the link between physical and spiritual. Because the crown receives, the heart distributes. So if the heart chakra is balanced, everything becomes not easier, because this life is not easy, but smoother, softer, lighter. Okay? We even have the expression light-hearted, right? So, to kind of summarize, self-love leads to unconditional love, because once I learn, I feel, I understand what love can do for myself, I want to extend it. It overflows from me. Once I have it and I start developing more and more, I can't contain it. It overflows. And it leads to unconditional love. Unconditional love will lead to loving our neighbors, amar ao próximo. Because we usually associate compassion with just loving our neighbors, not necessarily us. But it starts with us. We can't give what we don't have. Now, if we direct our lives properly, if we live good lives, we are going to channel these energies that we receive in an altruistic way for ourselves and those around us. An example. Somebody, doesn't matter what religion, or even an atheist, doesn't matter. Somebody who does so much charity, quote unquote, that they neglect their family, that they neglect their children, they neglect their parents, they neglect their professional work. That is not balanced. It looks altruistic, but it's not. In a way, it's selfish, right? Sometimes it's to get away from a responsibility they don't want to face. Sometimes for somebody who is religious, it could be a bargain with God. If I do a lot of charity, I'm buying my little lot in heaven, or no solar, or whatever religion you may have. So, directing our lives properly and channeling this energy to us and those around us means developing myself, offering to everybody else. Holocentrism, right? Easy peasy, right?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I make it sound super easy. Do you see the halo?
I visualized it.
So the lessons of love are among the most important lessons that we are invited to exercise and learn during our existence in the physical body, during our reincarnations on Earth. It is fundamental to develop the feeling of compassion and empathy in order to open the heart chakra. This also leads to the development of a more elevated form of conscience, right? Everything goes up. So far, so good? So when we talk about imbalance, about it being not receiving enough energy, or usually when it doesn't receive enough energy, it's because we are blocking. So hypoactive, as we mentioned, indifference. So a selfish attitude of only caring for oneself, right? So it's the idea of, as long as I'm well, I don't care about anything else. And we think we're well. We think we're fine. We think we are at peace. But it's false. Because nobody can truly be at peace. Either being indifferent to bad, evil, whatever word you want to use it, or sometimes even causing it. Because sometimes our indifference causes other people harm. Right?
Silent treatment.
So many things. Like this can take so many forms. I've heard it so many times before, and I might have thought it too in the past before I knew better. But for example, let's not talk about other religions. Let's talk about Spiritism and Spiritists. I've heard so many Spiritists saying, oh, if that person is going through that situation, it's because they need it. I'm not going to interfere. I can't help. Right? Some people say, oh, it's because they deserve it. And then you're like, I'm going to use different words so it doesn't sound so bad. So it's because they need it. No. This is a sophism. Do you know what is a sophism?
Remind me.
Okay, a sophism is like an argument based on something that is true, but then I build my own thing on top of it that is not true. But I say it so nicely that it sounds true. Right? So it's a pseudo-truth, uma pseudo-verdade. It can start with a true fact, and we put some flourishes, and in the end, it's not true at all anymore. Okay? So that's a sophism. Because while we know that because of the reincarnation mechanisms and processes, we usually face challenges that are related to problems we had in the past, yeah, that part is true. But what is not true is I can't interfere. I can't help because they have to go through that or they won't learn.
Yeah, that's true.
And how do we know that's not true? How do we know, like, where? Are you guys just going to believe me just because I said so?
You can feel it. Yeah, we feel inside of us.
But there is like a very specific question in the Spirit's book that explains it like more clearly than anything.
Is that the lack of compassion?
No, it's something even more basic than that. Question 642. No, you guys haven't memorized?
Where is
No way.
She knows.
What was Kardec's shoe size? So question 642. Is it enough to simply not do what is evil in order to please God and ensure our future happiness?
No.
Is it enough to be just neutral?
No.
I'm not going to help the person because they need to go through that challenge. It's part of their expiation or trial. And the Spirit say? Now that I read the question, I'm sure somebody knows roughly the answer. It doesn't have to be word for word, of course.
It says something about if you're not doing the good, you're already doing the bad. If you're not
You're
doing anything,
responsible for the not
Oh,
goods,
yes, yeah.
the no goods that you
that's
You
it.
don't.
Exactly. So they say no, like right off the bat, no. We must do good to the best of our abilities. Each of you will have to answer for all the evil that has resulted from the good that you have failed to do. Do you need it in Portuguese?
Yes, sure.
Yeah?
Why not?
Não. Devemos fazer o bem no limite das nossas forças. Cada um de vocês, ou de nós, cada um de nós terá que responder por todo o mal que há de vier de um bem que você deixou de fazer. So, the whole, it's their trial. That's where compassion comes in.
Does it say on the same question here about if you're not doing anything, you're also, is it already a bad thing?
It's in the
It's linked
sequence.
to it?
Yeah,
Okay.
comes after that.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it comes after that. Because, of course, Kardec asks follow-up questions and he gets more from the
I thought that was
spirits.
the one you were referring to. Okay.
All right. So,
Because maybe if
yes.
someone wants to be with a very clear example of that, just look at the parable of Good Samaritan.
Yeah,
Just look at that, because what Jesus did.
which
Just say,
is
all
the
my problems.
best example of
Yeah.
compassion.
Yeah. So,
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. I was going to mention it later. You say,
I think that the main challenge for me, in my opinion, is when you go outside your home and you have a money and someone, oh, can you give me money? And you think, oh my God, I have money, but I don't want to give her. But it's a challenge to improve your charity or your compassion about everybody. But you think that, oh no, if I don't do and go home and oh my God, you're thinking about this, oh I'm super bad because I don't give just $1 for her. But sometimes you can't. But for me it's super challenging when these situations happen in your life and you're thinking, oh my God, we could help her, but I didn't do, and you go home and thinking about that.
I think I'm gonna help on your reflection with one of the slides. One of the slides might help you reflect on that issue, because that is material.
Yeah.
But maybe the feelings come before the material, right? Because sometimes giving money so that we don't feel guilty doesn't necessarily mean we have compassion. So it leads to emotional neediness, in Portuguese, carência afetiva. So in order to receive love, it's necessary to give it first. And if I'm so closed off, if I closed my heart chakra like so bad, it is gonna cause down the road, like that indifference is gonna end up being indifference towards myself. And that can also lead to suicidal tendencies, because there comes a point when we're so indifferent about everybody and ourselves as well that we started suicidal ideation. So a lot of people, I know I've said this in the past as well, that that's such a selfish act, they didn't think about their family, their children or whatever. No, they didn't, because they are at a point of indifference that they aren't thinking. If they were thinking, they wouldn't do it, right? So, but it's a point like so down that road that it can happen. And again, instead of judging, we are invited to have compassion. And we're gonna see how. And like I said, there's the whole thing of the pendulum with cruelty. So one example is, I'm gonna use words in English, but all the Brazilians will understand the situation I'm talking about. You know that person who seems super nice and stuff, and all of a sudden they become something strange, like they become the devil, and like, what happened? And the person says, well, I was here quiet in my corner, I wasn't doing anything bad to anybody, but then they came here and they messed with me. If you mess with me, you get it. It goes from indifference, like, I don't care about you until you do something that bothers me. and then it turns into cruelty. So it's a pendulum movement. It can go both ways. And it can also go from cruelty to indifference. It can also go to, at a certain point I got tired of messing with Carol. I'm like, okay, I'll get a new victim. Okay? And it can take many forms. It can be psychological, it can be physical. So, okay, too much. I think the picture in the background says everything. So, attachment. It's the possessive love that suffocates, that chains the supposedly loved one, generating dependence. We become dependent on the person. We think we love them so much that without them we can't live. And that can happen in any kind of relationship. Romantic, parent to child, child to parent, friendship, all kinds of relationship, this can happen. Typical of insecure, possessive individuals. And by possessive here we can understand selfish, self-centered. I'm the belly button of the universe. Everybody needs to love me. So it can happen in any type of relationship. It's the love that became sick, because true love frees the loved one and is unconditional. There are no conditions, right? I love you because I love you. I love you if you love me. I love you if you don't love me. I love you if you put the dishes in the dishwasher. I love you if you don't. I love you if you lower the toilet seat, and I love you if you don't.
But you're encouraged.
But you're very encouraged to do it. I love you if you take out the garbage, and I love you if you don't. Okay, so now, I love this picture. So, compassion. It comes from the Greek pathos, meaning suffering, experience, emotion, or feeling. And com means with. As we know in Portuguese, literally com means with. So compassion is to suffer with, to experience with, to feel with the person. Not for the person. That's the attachment. Trying to solve someone else's problem, like giving the fish instead of teaching how to fish. That's not compassion. That's attachment. And sometimes that's pride. Like, you're incapable. It comes with the third chakra, with the power thing. You're incapable, I'll do it for you. Right? So compassion is feeling with the person, suffering with the person, trying to understand the person, but not doing it for them so that they don't have to do it. It's giving a hand to help,
Support,
but not
trying to
pushing them
fix,
aside
yeah.
and say, let me do it for you. It's very different, okay? Mothers will know what I mean. To build a connection with the one who feels or suffers. And this makes it very clear why it needs to start with us. Because in order to understand Attila's suffering, I need to understand my own. Because if I don't understand my own, how can I relate to his? So everything starts in the self. Everything starts with us, right? I may not have gone through the same situation, but it's important that I understand what it is to feel pain, what it is to feel anxiety, what it is to be
helpless.
Yeah, to be in a situation where you feel like you have no way out. So this connection allows for the flow of love/charity. Now is the how. How? How do we get there? Is compassion passive?
No.
Are any virtues passive?
No.
Nah. So, how? You cheat. Don't cheat. She's looking at my slides.
That's true.
But that's exactly what Carol said. It's the exercise of understanding our own and others' feelings, reactions, pain, suffering. Yeah.
Can the feeling of pity, when you feel like pity versus be confused as compassion?
It can, and pity is not a good feeling.
Yeah, that's...
Compassion is a virtue, pity is an egoic feeling. And the difference is, when I feel compassion, I feel with the person. We are at the same level. When I feel pity, I feel for the person because I'm better than they are.
So you feel like...
Or I am in a better situation than they are. I'm like, oh, poor them. So it's us looking down. Compassion, we're looking straight ahead. Pity, we're looking down. Excellent question. Thank you. Okay, so in another word, empathy. Right? Is it easy?
No. Hard work.
Hard work. Absolutely hard work. It starts with daily reflections, daily exercises. Every day. Every day. The person who was rude to me, how many problems do they have that they ended up taking it on me? Is it really about me? Why am I feeling offended? Maybe they're just having a problem and they didn't know how to express themselves. So it's daily exercises of trying to understand ourselves. Why did I react like this? And others. Understand ourselves and others. Ourselves and others. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 13, do not let your left hand know what your right hand does. Item 17, the spirit Michael or Miguel, I think Miguel is a lot more beautiful than Michael. He has a little piece about compassion. So these are just small pieces. He says a few harsh things too. I recommend everybody read it. It's awesome. But I just brought the consoling pieces. So Michael says, compassion is the virtue which draws you closer to the angels. It's a sister to charity, which also conducts you to God. Allow your hearts to be moved by compassion before the spectacle of the miseries and sufferings of your own fellow creatures. Then he says more stuff, and then he says, the most appropriate sentiment for making mankind progress by dominating his selfishness and pride, which predisposes the soul towards humility, beneficence, and the loving of one another is compassion. And he ends saying, compassion then is the melancholic. Why melancholic? Before we continue. Compassion, yes.
Because there's a sadness involved in the fact that you're experiencing somebody else's pain. And
Gold star.
And it's something that's always helped me to kind of keep this in mind is that the only type of people, is something I heard, I can't even remember where, but I never forgot the statement. The only type of people who hurt people are hurt people. And it just kind of re-centers as to what's
so true.
going on.
That's a great statement.
Yeah.
There's another thing I would like to add is that when you are an empath and you have that virtue in you, you also get so absorbed. So you have to be very mindful where to balance that.
Yes.
Because it can take a toll on you.
It can. And it goes, that's where it goes beyond compassion.
Yeah.
That is not compassion. Because if it's bringing you down, you're not feeling with, you're feeling for the person.
That's where the balance, you need to constantly remind yourself.
Perfect. Exactly. And it's exactly this. That's exactly what you both said. It's usually a virtue that comes about in a situation of sadness or pain. So this is why he says melancholic. So compassion then is the melancholic but celestial precursor of charity. Being the first of all charity being the first of all virtues. which she has for sister, and whose benefits she prepares and ennobles. So, and again, Michael Bordeaux, 1863, and this is the whole chapter. I saw somebody took a picture. If you want to take a picture with the chapter, then it's easier to read later. Okay, and to end, this is Spiritism's most famous motto. Without charity, there's no salvation. Right? Everybody has heard that. However, there can be no true charity without compassion. And this is compassion. That's why compassion is the virtue that will balance the heart chakra. Because in order to get to charity, we need compassion. How can we truly feel charitable? How can we do true charity if we have no compassion? Then it becomes just material. Does that help? It's a lot of food for thought, a lot of reflection involved, but basically, these are the sources, and aren't you proud of me? I'm so happy.
Oh, it's not exactly. Look at you here. You're evolved.
You did it.
Evolved is good. But does anybody have any questions?
Just to add, there's a Arthur mentions, and the way that he describes compassion is when we allow ourselves to be compassionate is how God makes us instrument of his or her work. It's kind of how we became that bridge between God, the person that needs, and we are the ones that are flowing that help. So it's like God knocking our hearts and say, hey, Luis, help me, help that person. So I think it's a very simple and easy way to understand and how to be active. Because there's that empathy, but compassion requires action. Not to do for the person, but to do our part. Because if you read the parable of Good Samaritan, there was a lot of action there.
Yes. Well, if you read the whole gospel,
yeah.
Jesus' compassion was 1000% active. Right? Any questions? Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for listening. We are going to do our final prayer, and we're going to go for the passes. There will be the team working in the passes, and somebody will be here directing everybody, like how many can come in at a time, okay? So let's close our eyes. And once again, after all this information, hopefully we have learned something. Hopefully we will be able to reflect on why Jesus felt compassion for us. And we will be able to start exercising how to understand our neighbors, how to understand our own family, our own selves. And that will help us on our daily exercises of reflections, our daily exercises of self-improvement, that we may be better today than we were yesterday, and better tomorrow than we are today. We thank our guardian angels for never giving up on us, for always trying to guide us to the best of their abilities. And most of all, we thank our Father and our Master Jesus for coming to us in person and for showing us the way, the truth, and the light. May we make our best efforts to follow in his footsteps. One little reflection, one little action at a time. May we all have a blessed week. So be it.